Hey friends, full reactions in the link in the description below, so pause, leave a like, really helps the channel, subscribe, and come back after you watch the reaction for the discussion. Give you some time to do that. Review and commentary starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. We finally have some kids from 1A passing. Todoroki actually passed pretty easily, used his surroundings, overpowered everyone even though they had a plan in place to neutralize both of his quirks. And I'm curious if he took out all the ninjas just for fun, or if he left some of them still active since he only needed to take out 2. Then we had the IQ girl, Saiko Intelli. She actually seems really powerful, because 150 IQ is already pretty high, but she can raise it even more with her quirk. Makes me wonder what it would be like for somebody who had like 50 IQ and had the same quirk as she does. Because like a Jason Mendoza type, like a 50 IQ guy. But then drinking tea suddenly makes his IQ go to astronomical heights. That would just be the biggest 2 different personalities, essentially. I'm actually curious why people don't have more quirks that are just absolutely horrible. Now that I think about it, like quirk, negative IQ. When you drink tea, your IQ gets cut in half. I mean, these quirks are technically mutations, right? Like these kind of things should happen. Not every mutation in the real world is going to result in a positive outcome. Like in the hunting gathering part of human history, disadvantageous mutations die out because the people with them get killed off, or they can't find a mate. But that's not much of a problem in modern society, especially in an industrialized society, industrialized country like Japan. For example, just in the past, not talking about humans, giraffes that were born with a particularly short neck wouldn't be able to reach its food as easily, so would have less supply. So it just might die of starvation. But with the ideal idea of human society being to take care of everybody, that just because you were born different doesn't mean you are less entitled to a good life. So in this case, long-necked people would share with our shorter-necked friends. So maybe I feel like in these situations, people with negative or like bad quirks should still be able to survive. It's just interesting that every single quirk seems to be on some level a positive that can be turned into a strength. Anyway, I was talking about Saiko Intelli with her 150 IQ. I've actually never taken a legit IQ test because there are a lot online, but they're not accurate at all. A lot of them, you can actually get all the questions correct, and it results in an IQ of around 140-ish. But like the scale won't go higher, so you can't tell if your score is even higher, and they're not accurate to begin with. Basically, they have to be administered in person by a psychologist who's trained in giving those tests for it to count. And I actually worked in a facility that did brain training, and we measured the students' IQs, but I never had it done on myself. So yeah, the teachers actually had to calculate things faster than the students, though, because we had to figure it out faster and then also correct them if they were wrong. So there was this one teenage wonder kid who really pushed my limits. That was a lot of fun. Anyway, I really want to know more about Saiko's work though, and how different types of tea affect it. Is there one tea that always gives you the best result no matter what? Or do different teas affect different parts of your brain, like spatial reasoning, long-term, short-term memory, processing speed? And yeah, I actually really like her quirk, because it could be really interesting, but I somehow doubt we'll ever get to see her again in a large capacity. And her initial strike was impressive. It's essentially an ambush, systematically nullifying as many quirks as possible. But then after that, she makes so many mistakes. So for all that IQ, the fact that Yaoyorozu could have attacked instead of defended with her creation quirk didn't even occur to, or didn't seem like something to focus on for Saiko. So there's either an arrogance at play here, because why wouldn't you anticipate attack? Or, I don't know, maybe her, I don't know, it seems weird. And it's so ridiculous that when she separates Momo from her friends, that she thinks her friends won't come back for her. Like, what? How does that make any sense whatsoever? Like, all they have to do is literally just break down a door and they can save her. And I feel like there was a high IQ play that she actually could have made at the end there, because she was saying that she may not pass, but she wanted to at least stop Yaoyorozu from passing. And if she was that petty and wanted to lower the odds of 1A passing altogether, she could have taken out all her teammates herself. I believe there were 8 of them total, including her, and all of them besides her were already knocked out. So technically, they're going to be taken out anyway. So you might as well take them out yourself. Like 2 of them actually could have passed from her group if they did that. Like if she held the ball in one of her teammates' hands and guided it for a finishing blow for 2 of the other students, then that would work, right? It's like it's super scummy and it's super unethical. It doesn't abide by the rules or the spirit of the test, but if you do that, at least some of you win, and a weakened 1A would still have to go out looking for enemies to take out when already 60 people have passed. So, yeah, I'm curious. Like, with all that IQ, she doesn't think to do that for some reason. But anyway, I'm not sure how long this whole thing took, but they were just waiting around and long playing this, even though more than half the spots were already taken. And at most, if 4 of them already had 1 kill, 4 more of them could have passed. But then they'd have to move on to another group, and if none of them have a kill, only 2 of them could have passed. So it feels like they were running out of time, and they were still like waiting around to see who would fall into their trap. So for all that IQ, I don't know. IQ is a super cool quirk, but it was a bit of a letdown after her initial strike. I've never felt that with My Hero Academia before. That I've ever felt let down, so it's a little surprising. Maybe the writer backed himself into a corner, because when you write a character with high IQ who considers every option and then you want them to lose, it's very easy to write yourself into a corner. It's very hard to write yourself out of it. I do like that it served as an opportunity for Yaoyorozu to think, what would Todoroki do, what would Ida do, and what would Deku do? And that really also lends itself to the ending when Aizawa was saying that the 2 people in the class who are mood setters for everybody, whose passion has bled over to everybody, and Deku and Bakugo are not the most popular or natural-born leaders, but their passion affects the morale and growth of everybody, and they're always at the center of everything big that happens. And yeah, obviously we love Deku, so for someone like Yaoyorozu to think of him and what he'd do in a situation like this, that's some pretty high freaking praise for him. And because of him, she realized the most important thing to do was to protect her teammates. That was really great. She was even starting to think about, how do I save them? Like, forget about passing the test. I need to get them to pass. And yeah, her teammates all looked to her for inspiration and guidance too. So this was a really strong moment for her, for sure. Yaoyorozu has always been one of my favorites ever since she broke down Tenya's performance in that battle training and made Tenya be like well with pride at how good he was playing the role. And yeah, she's definitely not a tone setter, but she's obviously a very natural leader, and it's fun to see. Also, poor Asui in the cold. It was so cute the way she was bundled up, and it looked like Shoji was like swaddling her. It's so cute. I felt bad for Jiro getting her ear shot. I'm assuming they have healers on site because it's a battle test where they're fighting each other. So hope they're able to heal her at least. And then we went on to Kirishima, Bakugo, and Kaminari going against the fleshy flesh guy. That is a disgusting quirk. I mean, Kirishima got immediately taken by saving Bakugo. Even though we've had talk in the past about Bakugo having like really fast reaction times, I guess this one just completely caught them off guard. Deku, in the meantime, acting as a decoy, while Uraraka and Hantasero work on immobilizing people. And Aizawa was frustrated that he can't see anything, and Joke thinks he's worried about his students, but he's actually excited. He can't wait to see what kind of heroes they all become. Even talks up Deku and Bakugo and how they have set the tone for all of them, even if they're not around even if they're not around their classmates, people look to them because of their passion. So really love that moment. Joke, actually in that moment, in that scene, offers Aizawa some gum, and he says, "It's really a finger trap, isn't it?" But then we actually see Joke eat a stick of gum, so I don't know. She was actually trying to be nice to him and offering him gum, but he assumed that she was trying to play a trick on him. That's actually kind of sad. Like people don't. I'm afraid that people don't take her seriously because she's always joking because it's her quirk, and maybe she's actually very serious about being into him because, and then because he sees her joking around so much, he doesn't take it seriously. That would be kind of sad, right? But yeah, Joke says it's kind of gross how hard Aizawa's fallen for his students, but I think it's sweet. He even says he's honored to have them as students, despite the chewing out he gave them not too long ago when they just arrived at the dorms. I'm also wondering if Joke's comment about how gross it is because she's jealous that he holds them in such high regard. Does she want Aizawa's eyes on her for some reason, maybe? Okay. Hard to give this episode a grade because I really like what they did with Aizawa's declaration of love for his class and talking up how Bakugo and Deku's passion are infectious. Wondering if 1B has anyone like that, any natural leaders or people who bring something new. I guess Kendo seems like she's like the big sister, and Monoma consistently wants to shit on 1A, but yeah. And on the other hand, I also really think Saiko's quirk sounds really, really interesting. So it's like a mishmash of good and bad in this episode. Because the Todoroki fight and the Yaoyorozu, Shoji, Asui, Jiro fight felt a little underwhelming. So I don't know, it's hard to give this episode a grade. I'm going to give it an 8.25, maybe an 8. I'll give it an 8. Yeah, it just felt like some writing had some questionable choices. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Really enjoyed this episode. Leave a like, really helps the channel. If you want to watch full or early reactions, check out Patreon in the link in the description below. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, friends.